This is the Space is a Place Network, and you're now listening to A New Day with the New Bay podcast, a podcast about our relationship with self, the collective, and spirit, and how we can become a new being or a new being, go beyond us, and have affairs with our side spirit for healing and wellness. I am your host, Khem, Anu Naki.
And I am the co-host, Lahoma.
And we are ANU BEY. So thanks again, everybody that's supporting and listening to this now. If you're listening to this now, this is an exclusive, so we do appreciate your support and financial support as well. So this is season number 1, episode 4, part 3, entitled Changing the Narrative of Mystery. Hashtag my story, hashtag Corona Rising, hashtag Kanye 2020. So, as always, this show is a part of the Space is the Place network. However, we have officially gotten a social media platforms for A New Day with A New Bay. So let's clap that up.
Woo, 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 woo. Had to bring our Senator Hall back.
Who, then dog pound. That's what the people would call it, the dog pound.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to Arsenio. So we officially have A New Day with A New Bay platforms on social media. So you can go to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, type in A New Day, A New Bay. So it's just ANEWANUBEY. So A New Day, A New Bay on all platforms. So you can find it, or you can go to our Linktree, which pretty much helps you out. Linktree, it's linktr.ee/A New Day, A New Bay. And then it'll give you all of our links for our podcast. Also, we still have our goal for wanting to reach 1,000 plus followers and subscribers. So that goal is still in place. So I want to throw that out there as well. Also, you can go to our Patreon page, patreon.com/A New Day, A New Bay. ANEWANUBEY. A New Day, A New Bay. All right. So, topics of discussions for today. So this is segment 3, part 3, Affairs with Side Spirit. We'll be talking about reframing and reclaiming time. Second, we'll go into Lahoma and the higher dimensions. And lastly, what will be the new narrative? All right, so we can go ahead and jump into it. Reframing and reclaiming your time. So
reclaiming my time. Reclaiming my time.
Boom, I know. Well, I'll start it off and then you can get into how you've reframed into that. So reframing, as we spoke about, I think briefly on last show and the show before, is simply changing your perspective on whatever you are experiencing. So whatever life event that you are currently facing, going into the past, looking into the future, you can change how you're looking at it or change how you perceive it. That's pretty much the art of reframing. So my personal, that I spoke about in part 1, episode 4, part 1, I spoke about how I went from the victim mentality to taking accountability and being more self-sufficient. So I think I gave the example of always, with the conspiracies and all that, like, hey, the government is taking my money and I don't like how they're doing me, these jobs, these low paying jobs. At one point I felt like my pops was getting over on me, and then it hit me like, oh, you had this credit card back in the day, you didn't pay. You had several credit cards you didn't pay. You didn't allow several bank accounts to go into the negative, and you just go close it and then go open up another one. So it's like, okay, it came to a point where I had to take ownership and be accountable for my actions. So instead of me staying in that frame of mind, I reframed it and said, okay, this is actually me creating this situation. This is actually me being reflected back to me. So it's like how I've been acting is just is reflecting back to me. So I started to take more accountability more and more, and now I'm in a better position. I know I spoke about Kanye in the last episode, part 2 of episode 4, where, you know, him going from, you know, producer to rapper, going from hip hop to alternative to rock to gospel, you know, wearing Ralph Lauren to becoming Ralph and, you know, creating his own fashion line, going from the rap, you know, part of the rap elites in regards to rapping to becoming a pop star to now running for president. And then lastly, dealing with his mental illness, going from breakdown to breakthrough. That's how he reframed it. He's like, I didn't have a breakdown, I had a breakthrough. And then him saying like the mental illness is him, you know, he's actually a superhero. These are my superpowers. So that's a way that Kanye, and that's the reason why I used him as an example, because he has definitely shown examples of reframing. And it's like, we can get into, you know, people coming off as delusional. Like, come on now, there's no way you could do that. But then, you know, we get into the limiting beliefs that, you know, how society holds us down in regards to keeping us in a certain space or at a certain frequency, because we begin to buy into what other people are talking about. So it's like with Kanye, it's like, regardless of what people are saying, he's like, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be this. And, you know, this is how I'm looking at this. And then, you know, no one can tell him nothing. Shout out to his song that just popped up in my head. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Can't tell me nothing. So that's the mindset that you have to have. Like, no one can tell you anything. If you have it set in your mind, this is what I am, this is what I believe in, and this is where I'm going,
Right.
you can't tell me nothing. So that's just to open up the door to, you know, reframing and the art of it, the art. Well, is there a science to it? Is it just switching? I guess you can't say there's a science to it. It's not that, it's just, hey, what do you want? And just switch.
Yeah. Well, there could be a science to it, just because I guess when you think about the study of the mind or the brain, how the brain works and how the mind works, at the end of the day, though, it's more so, what do you believe?
Mm-hmm.
And are you willing to release a belief that may not be serving you? Or a perception, because it doesn't necessarily have to be a belief. It could be just the way, you know, somebody views something.
Right.
So, science, huh? That's an interesting question. Is it a science to reframe?
I'm gonna write that down, table it for a later
discussion. Let's table that for, you know, another conversation.
Is reframing a science? Highlight it so I remember. All right. So yeah, so that's all I got for reframing, and that is a good point that you just brought up with. Are you changing the belief or are you changing the perspective? So those are two different things. So that's definitely key, because I can say, just throwing this in real quick, you know, just a situation with my job, the belief that I have to work harder to be more valuable no longer serves me anymore. So that's the reason why I'm going through what I'm going through now with the job, which I'm in the process of releasing the job, because this no longer serves me. You know, I see why I've attracted this situation and why I'm going through it. So it's like, let me shift the belief to, I want to work smarter and have more ease. So I have to let this go, you know, because it's just gotten to a point where it's like, hey, it's unbearable. So I get that. So I'm changing I'm shifting the belief and then moving and riding the wave in regards to that. So I just want to add that into the mix.
Okay. So yeah, when you talk about the shift, it's pretty much change your mind, or change your thoughts, change your life. Mm-hmm. Because it's like life reflects to us back what we're thinking, what's in our heart. So it's a matter of really, I'm like, now that I said perspective or perception, and I was like, oh yeah, there is a difference, because the perception comes from the belief. Mm-hmm. The belief comes first, I would think. And then you develop this perception because of the belief. Or can you have the perception because of an experience, and
Yeah.
then you develop the belief because of what you experienced and perceived?
Well, the first thing that came to my mind was like, which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Man,
So it's like,
ain't nobody got no answer for that.
right. It's like the first person, how did they gain? They had to have the experience first to get the perception, because you didn't have the perception before the
Right,
experience.
right,
But then
right,
again,
right.
it's like, how did you experience that? Because you attract what you are. So it's like, which came first, perception or belief?
Right.
Hmm.
And at the end of the day, I don't necessarily know that I mean, that gets into semantics. It doesn't really matter.
Mhm.
The key is, say, for example, if you're dealing with a situation like you said with your job, the consciousness that created the situation you're in now is not the consciousness that you need to solve it or to get you out of that situation. And so the reframing or changing our mind, that's how we get to the solution. We
Right.
can't get to the solution without a change or a reframe. So speaking of reframes, well, a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to Dr. Damien Nordman. That's his
Mhm.
last name? Okay.
Mhm.
So I was doing a coaching call with him, and I was telling him some of the struggles that I have been dealing with regarding dyslexia and ADD. And so while I look at them as superpowers, because I know my brain doesn't function like everybody else's, I still have issues when it comes to reading and spelling and stuff like that. And so I was just sharing with him some of the things that I experienced. And he made the comment to not look at it as dyslexia, to view it as operating in the sixth dimension.
Mm.
And instantly I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. Now, I didn't know anything about the sixth dimension. I knew it existed, but I didn't know any details about what that meant.
Mhm.
So this really made a huge difference for me as far as this topic, changing the narrative, because when you think about like where society is right now, a lot
Mhm.
of the stuff that society is dealing with as far as with the corona rising,
Mhm.
the fear that's going on, the victimhood, life is happening to me, woe is me, why me,
Mhm.
why is this happening? A lot of that is 3D consciousness. That is ordinary consciousness.
Mhm.
And so um, people who are operating from the third dimension, it's like, ask yourself, you know, do I let my emotions consume me or my logic? Like, am I overwhelmed by all the stuff that I'm going through, all the stuff I'm experiencing, and am I overly emotional? Or am I using my logic? Am I using my brain and thinking clearly about what I'm experiencing, so that you can even have a say in having a different viewpoint?
Mhm.
Because if you're caught up in the, oh, I'm angry, or I'm this, I'm that, there's no way to really tap into another idea, another thought, another perception.
Mhm.
Like, you're just in it.
You're stuck in that.
Right. And which is, again, is third dimension, is adapting to reality, is survival, like the ego. That's normal.
Right.
And so a lot of so the mental, what do you call it? One of the mental struggles is ignorance. Physical struggle is scarcity, which a lot of people are dealing with scarcity right now.
Mhm.
Lack of money, or lack of resources. They're talking about a food shortage. Really? Only if everybody go to the store and try to buy everything at one time.
Right.
But other than that, there shouldn't be a shortage.
The
And then,
window
of
is
course, the spiritual issue would be fear. Um, so yeah, that's from the third dimension. So the fourth dimension, which we're already in it, right?
4D?
Technically, yeah, we're already, I'm not
Been
sure where along the, so in the fourth dimension, the awareness of, it's the awareness of multiple realities.
Okay.
Now, anybody who has watched The Secret or What the Bleep, Down the Rabbit Hole, and any movies like that, that's anybody in the metaphysics, quantum physics, they pretty much already know about multiple realities and how, you know, that's when you can collapse down to what the reality that you desire.
Right.
Once you understand that there are multiple realities, because you set your intent about what it is you want to experience. So in this dimension, you'd ask questions like, do I trust my intuition and move forward from that place? Or do I trust the past, which no longer exists, and then I act upon that past that no longer exists?
Right.
Like, that's crazy, right? But that's what most people do.
Goes back
So,
to
say that again.
goes back to being stuck. What you were
Right,
talking about.
right. And so in the fourth dimension, it's a matter of becoming detached from reality and breaking free of the limitations, breaking free of what the limitations that you experience in the third dimension. Where it's like there may be a glass ceiling, men make more money than women. And it's like, that's not always the case, because Beyonce out here killing it. She making more money than a lot of men. I'm just saying, like, it's not, you see what I'm saying? It's not the same. There are gonna be people that when you get into the fourth dimension and the fifth dimension and the sixth dimension, you go above the average, what average people experience.
Right.
So yeah.
So wouldn't it be wise to gravitate towards what is ideal for you? So it's like, okay, if you're getting caught up in the, you know, men make more money than women and you're a woman, wouldn't it be wise to gravitate towards a Beyonce and her story, or Oprah and her story, or there's a billionaire, I don't even know her name off the top of my head. There's a woman in Africa, African woman, that's a billionaire. So would it be wise to move in that direction and focus your attention on that?
Right.
Okay.
Because again, there are exceptions because they didn't buy into whatever, you know, as far as what limitations that society may have told them is the truth. They didn't buy into that. And so they created something different for themselves. That's like, what is that 4-minute mile?
Mm-hmm.
How, you know, nobody, huh?
I was thinking about the 4-day work. What is it? The work
you
week?
talking about 4-hour work week.
Yeah. I'm
talking about the 4-minute mile, like running.
Oh, okay. And I've never heard of that.
Where so for the longest, people are like, oh, you can't run a mile in 4 minutes, until the first person did it.
Okay.
Once the first person did it, then there were people that eventually came behind it. Now, granted, you may only see that in the Olympics, but the whole point is it's possible.
Right.
So yeah, I would say whatever the belief is, it's like look around for the examples of it not whatever that belief is, not being true. Or if you want say for example, you said men make more money than women. And it's like, you know what? I don't even want to think about what men make. I want to make whatever I want to make. Right. And then look for examples that match that. Because even if I say women make more than men, that don't feel right. That's still competition. Or if I say we make the same, that still don't feel right, because I just want to make what I want to make. I don't want to compare it to anybody else's experience. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
So it's a matter of just getting clear on what feels right for you and go from there.
Oh, it also brings about, because I know when you get into those discussions in regards to focusing on those that have, like, you know, still using the example of men make more money than women, or just we can just look at the our brothers and sisters, where it's like, oh, you know, Jay-Z done made it, Oprah done made it, why can't we make it? And then somebody will counter that with, well, just because a few people made it don't mean that, you know, that I hear that argument being thrown out when we begin to talk about, you know, the Oprahs, the, you know, all these millionaires and billionaires that have made it out of impoverished areas. And it's like, well, just because a couple of people made it is not, that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody's going to make it, which it is true. Everybody's not going to make it because we are all on different levels of and our or on different paths and on different levels in our journey. So yeah, everybody's not going to make it, but that does not rule out the fact that you can make it. So because I can say for myself, being being a melanated brother, being a property manager, like, you don't see a lot.
Many, right?
You don't. We don't. Like I said, we don't. But you don't see too many of us in those positions. Me being a teacher at CSL Dallas, like, I was the only male back in the back teaching the teens, and I'm melanated. And then we already know, like, it's not we don't see too many of us at CSL Dallas. So me having that position, and then just the School of Metaphysics, you didn't see too many of us when we go to the college out in Wendyville, Missouri, once a month, and see everybody at all 16 schools.
Wendyville?
Right.
Wendyville? Okay.
Wendyville, Missouri.
That tells you right there.
So it's like you didn't see a lot of us in those groups studying what we were studying. So that just goes to show, like, I'm an example. So it's not that I know somebody that put me on. I pretty much have my story, you know, my backstory. You know, I came from what I came from, and I was wilding back in the day. So for me to be where I'm at now is like, I put in that work. I don't have somebody that I can be like, hey, you know, give me a job here. Oh, put me here. Like, I'm not a part of no Masonic lodge or anything like that. I pretty much changed my perspective, and then I got clear with what I wanted, and then I made it happen. So just want to throw that out there.
Word. Shout out to Naki. So okay, because you said something, it made me think about the video I sent you yesterday: blue pill, red pill, purple pill, black pill. No. Because again, so if you have a belief that everybody's not going to make it, yeah, that's fine for Oprah, that's fine for Jay-Z, but you know, that don't matter. What are you going to get?
The same conditions you've been getting.
You're going to get the same condition. And so one of the things that I realize a lot of times is that's where people they're deciding, I'm not going to be responsible for my life. That's pretty much what they're saying. I don't have any control over anything, and I'm not going to take control. I'm not going to be responsible. So what you want me to do about it?
It is what it is.
I'm just going to complain.
You see what's going on in our hood? You see what's going on? You see what's going on in our neighborhood? You know what's going down? So yeah, you pretty much go back and then focus your attention on the conditions, the effect.
Right. A lot of it is condition-based. Majority of it is condition-based in the third dimension, because they're focused on what's happening versus how can I transform or transcend this experience. Right. And so back to Oprah, because I know she gets a lot of criticism, and I have to admit, I probably was in that a little bit back in the day, years ago, because, you know, people would make comments about, you know, she starting these schools over in Africa, or she's doing this and that. She ain't doing nothing for the Black community.
She ain't doing nothing for Chicago.
So interestingly enough, though, as I've gone through my own journey, I've started to learn. I was like, oh, I see why she don't say nothing. Right. And she don't necessarily put herself out there, because at the end of the day, the very people that are accusing her or criticizing her, they're not taking responsibility for their own life. The people that are taking responsibility, They ain't talking about Oprah. You want to know why?
Because they doing.
Right. They too busy doing and making money and doing, they making moves. They don't have time to talk about Oprah. They don't have time to focus on what Oprah doing or not doing. So, like even this, what is it? Jada and Entanglement and Will Smith, all of that. So everybody's like caught up in it. And at the end of the day, that's their life.
Right.
They can live their life however they want to live it. And so it's not my business. If I could take my time and devote my attention to that, is that going to give me some paper? Is that going to put money in my bank account? Is that going to put me where I need to be as far as a house that I'm living in, a relationship that I'm in, whatever it is that I'm asking for? So,
it will. Unless it will, if you are talking about it on YouTube and getting them views up, you can get paid.
Yes, but from what perspective?
Oh, you pretty much are talking about the gossip.
Yeah, that's not my thing.
But you can only do that for so long because a lot of things are shifting. So I don't see that being it's kind of like with tabloid sheets back in the day. Like when, we go to the grocery stores and then those tabloid sheets, like those was popping back in the day, but nobody really rocks with those no more. So it's like today, as we see all these YouTube channels, blogs and all that, just, speaking on just the gossip, from a toxic standpoint, because there are people that really have some substance behind that. Those will fall by the wayside because it's clickbait, and we just playing into the whole, like, why do we even care about, this situation? Just like you said, like, that's them. How is this contributing into your life?
Right. And so it's a matter of really helping people to understand, again, shifting their focus. Period. There has to be a shift somewhere, or they're going to continue to experience the same thing. With the fourth dimension, you go between possibility and impossibility as far as the mental. The physical is action and inaction. And then the spiritual is doubt and faith. Because again, you're still in duality. You understand there's multiple realities, but you're still dealing with the duality, which you're able to transcend in the fifth dimension.
Okay. The duality aspect.
Right.
Okay.
You become free of duality in the fifth dimension because the fifth dimension is unity consciousness. And it's like you're free, you know who you are, you understand that you're a creator, you understand the whole multiple realities, and you're able to create the reality that you choose to create. You're unbound, you're unlimited. Not only that, you understand that you're co-creating with the people around you. Because not only do we create, but when we're in relationship with other people, we co-create.
Right.
And so manifesting is huge. It's a big deal in the fifth dimension because you accept reality in all states of existence. It's like, I understand that these are all the different possibilities, but I want that one. And so I'm going to manifest that one. Does that make sense?
Okay. It's like Doctor Strange and Avengers.
Sure.
You never seen it?
So I saw a couple of the Avenger movies, the last couple of ones with, what's my boyfriend? What's my boyfriend's name?
Who is this? He started throwing names like, John B. Wasn't in there. John B. wasn't in there.
No, you are not right. You are not right. That is not. I never said that. No. The bad guy with the stone.
Thanos.
Yes, Thanos. That's my heart. I don't understand why, but it's like I get him.
Yeah.
He does what needs to be done even, you know, regardless of what everybody else is saying or thinking or whatever. So
Right.
I saw the ones with Thanos, those.
That's what I was talking about, because it's like Doctor Strange, he pretty much saw all the possibilities as to each possibility was Thanos winning, and
Oh, I forgot
found
about
out
that
one
part.
possibility to
Yeah.
where he could save and bring back everybody that pretty much vanished in the part one. I think it's like Endgame or Infinity Wars. Everybody disappeared at the end of Infinity Wars. Endgame was Doctor Strange came back and was like, hey, you know, I went through all the realities and the possibilities, and I found one possibility to where we win. And then they executed. So that when you said that, that's what popped into my head.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's a very good visual. That's a very good visual. Because I forgot about that part of the movie, where he saw um, the different possibilities or realities.
Mm-hmm.
So the mental issues that people face in the fifth dimension are hate and grief. And then the physical is vitality and health. And then spiritually, it's acceptance. Now, think about this, because me personally, I feel like we're already in the fifth dimension. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know where we are along that line. For me, it feels like we're somewhere between the beginning and the middle of the fifth dimension.
Okay.
But again, that's just me making this shit, making it up as
making the shift. Making the shift up.
That's that girl. That's what it feels like for me. Anyway, staying on topic.
You said shift.
Good. Whatever I said, I cut off the end. All right. I know I did cut off the end because it was like, oh my God, it's already out, coming out. And so, yeah. 5G. Mm-hmm. 5G is here, right? Mm-hmm. And some people, not everybody, have been talking about the effects of 5G and how we have to be careful being close to it and all of that stuff or whatever, because it's not necessarily healthy for the physical body. And so a lot of people are talking about changing your diet, eating healthier, eating more light-filled foods, meaning sun-filled foods, fruits and vegetables and stuff. Because again, if we're light bodies and we're made of this spiritual essence, now I'm not saying that we're not in the physical dimension, because we are. At the same time, though, as we move through the different dimensions, we have to be able to, our bodies have to be able to acclimate or adjust to the new energies. I don't know if you, did we have the conversation about the earth and how the earth goes through chakras? The earth has chakras just like we have chakras?
I know about it, but I don't think we've discussed it.
So I'll do a little quick. So we have 7 major chakras: the root chakra, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat.
Third eye.
What'd you say? Third eye. Well, because I was about to do the ears. The ears are there, but they don't count the ears in the 7.
Right.
It's kind of, these are together.
Okay.
So the third eye and then the crown.
Right.
So it's like we have these 7 chakras, major centers, and so the earth does too. And so the earth goes through each. So if you think about, go back in time, as far as when there was a time period where people were all about money and stuff and material things and attaining gold and all of that stuff. Like go back to say
1800s and the gold rush.
Sure. That sounds great. Then, so the next one is what? Root chakra, then sacral. The sacral is spiritual. So what comes next? Like, you know, the Vatican and Jesus and all that stuff. Spirituality, religion, all of that stuff came, right? So the next is power, solar plexus. So if you think about society, what was the next thing that came after all of that?
Slavery.
People trying to control, right? The world, they're trying to take over the world.
Domination.
Okay, then the earth moves into the heart chakra, right? So I really feel like the heart chakra started maybe around 2012-ish. Because there was a huge shift around that time, and a lot of people started to become more sensitive to just what was happening in society. Now, interestingly enough, so the throat chakra is next, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we're somewhere between the heart and the throat right now, and the ears, because of everything that's going on. People are more kind right now. People are listening as far as what's going on with Black Lives Matter and all of that stuff. Mm. People are speaking up. They're voicing, where people were saying, like, they've been saying Black Lives Matter for a few years now.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I'm thinking about it, because yeah, they've been saying it since at least 2016.
Well, let me throw this in there real quick. Heart chakra, I would say, if we going by this timeline, because I'm pretty sure people can be like, no, then da da da. We just throwing stuff out there. So
I forgot about the 70s.
I was about to say the 60s and the 70s with the hippies and the love movement.
Yeah, that was the heart chakra. You're right. You're right. I forgot about that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So wait. And then the throat chakra was like the 80s and Ronald Reagan and all of that, huh? Maybe.
Well, I was gonna tie in like the 2012 was like the beginning of the fifth, because PC culture, us speaking up in regards to the whole Trayvon Martin shifted a lot. Going into 2013, I think that was 2013 when that happened. So us speaking up, Occupy Wall Street, like that's like 2011, Occupy Wall Street, Trayvon Martin, and then we're shifting into like, speaking up, protesting, Black Lives Matter, and then the censorship, trying to censor us in regards to what we say, cancel culture. This person said this, oh, we're gonna cancel you, or this person did this, or this person is speaking out more. So we're seeing more so of the fifth dimension or the throat chakra. I would say it could go back before 2012, but that was like the time where it's like we start to shift into that next paradigm.
I agree. I would say we were in the throat chakra then, or started there, because now it makes sense now that you reminded me about the heart chakra being the 70s, because technically the third eye is where we are now when you get into fifth and sixth dimension, because that's dealing with intuition and like images, visualizing, as well as what do you call it? Mind reading and stuff like that. Sending messages, mental messages. What are those terms?
Telepathy.
Telepathy, thank you.
Telekinesis and telepathy.
Yes, all of that stuff. Thank you.
Let me throw in there in regards to the throat chakra, going back to the 80s, because you did bring up the 80s. I can throw Prince in there.
Oh, that's a good example.
I can throw like the start of quote unquote gangster rap with NWA, F the Police. Like hip hop was like, you didn't curse in hip hop prior to NWA. You had a couple of artists like Schoolie D and all that, but majority of hip hop did not curse. So NWA hits the scene, Slick Rick, very, very vulgar with Slick Rick and his storytelling. And then NWA comes in, and then we usher into, Snoop, Dre, Chronic come out, and it's like the degrading of women, and it's like the violence, and it's like we speaking out, but at the same time we're getting more vulgar. So that's when like the censorship jumps in, because remember the people in Congress were trying to shut down like a Tupac, for using certain lyrics, and so it's like the censorship was there. going back to that. So I can say like the 80s to give it some time, to where like now you're saying like, you know, 2020, we're getting into like the intuition, because now we're starting to see, you know, the clear vision, 2020 clear vision.
Right, right.
And we are starting to expose a lot of the stuff that's been done in the dark. So that makes sense.
Well, and thank you for doing that timeline, because, you know, time is just time.
Time does not exist.
For me, I don't like remember details. It's just like, yeah, it happened back then.
Right. I don't know when, but it happened.
But it happened. And I can't tell you whether I dreamt it or it actually really happened.
Right.
So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So the other deal I thought about too, so what was is it Angela Stanton that's running for office in Atlanta?
In Georgia.
Georgia, okay. So she talked about, I saw the interview on the Breakfast Club, and so she made a good point about acceptance. Now, I don't necessarily know that I agree with what she said as far as, you know, her stance, but I understood what she said. And so the comment that she made was about, because they were talking about transgender. And she said that I hope I don't misquote her, she didn't agree that just because a person felt like if I'm in a female body, I feel like I'm a man, that I should be able to say that I'm a man. Right. Because I think she said that there's a law in maybe New York or somewhere where you could actually go back and change your birth certificate and put that you were born a male when you really were not born a male.
Right.
And so she made a comment about teaching people to accept themselves regardless. It's like, okay, yeah, you may feel this way, but this is the body you showed up in.
Right.
And it stood out to me because I remembered hearing Abraham Hicks. I don't know if you know about Abraham Hicks.
Oh, yeah.
Esther Hicks and Jerry Hicks.
Asking is given.
Say that again. Asking is given, right. Well, they have a few books. But somebody had asked Abraham about autism, kids with autism. And so the reply was along the lines of, this person has chose to come here in this experience, you know, with autism.
Right.
So from a place of, you can't change me. You have to love and accept me the way that I am. There's nothing that you can do to change me. And that, I got chills because every time I think about it, it's like, yo, why don't we look at that for everything? Because I know we talked about this, the transgender and feeling like I'm, you know, when kids say, oh, well, I'm in a girl body, but I feel like a boy. And it's like, how do they know that? Or how are they feeling that? And we talked about that on the past live show.
Right.
And so it's a matter of, for me, one, acceptance, regardless of what you came here, whether like even like the whole Black Lives Matter thing, I'm in brown skin.
Right.
I can't do anything about, I mean, I could try to bleach my skin, but what is that going to do? So,
cause more than likely cause more challenges, because we saw what happened with Michael Jackson.
Exactly. And so Angela Stanton talks about that too, how people, when they have the procedures, they still have mental issues, depression and stuff, because they're still not who they say they want to be. Does that make sense? Like, they did the sex change, but it still doesn't make them a boy.
Right.
And so for me, that means to tap into our feminine and masculine energies within us. Right. If we're taught to tap into that, we don't have to, like, what I actually have on my body, that doesn't matter.
Right. It's
a matter of tapping into the energy within me versus, but that's a whole nother subject, but yeah. I'm like, this is really going somewhere I didn't.
She also made I was saying she did make another point that stood out to me, where she said, you know, if that is the case, if you just feel like, if a man just feels like a woman, so now are we saying that being a woman is just reduced to a feeling, because there's much more to being a woman?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
but yeah, this
Exactly.
conversation, I mean, like, at the end of the day, conversation without getting emotional is like, yeah, you feel a certain way in regards to having a conversation, but again, this is a part of the reframing process, changing your perspective, being able to step into someone's shoes, or attempt to step in someone's shoes and see it from their perspective. And so that's, I guess that's where the science comes in, going back around. That's where
Yeah.
the science, like, are you able to detach from your own self, from your own beliefs, to be able to step into somebody else's shoes and say, okay, I see where you're coming from. I feel where you're coming from, because I'm listening to what you're saying and I actually feel it. It's not just I'm gonna cut you off and I'm just gonna say what I need to say because I need to get my bars off. And, you know, this is what it is, and that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Because we are in a time where a lot of things are happening that we are not used to, that we didn't see when we were, you know, how we were raised. So
Right.
we're being challenged belief-wise, to look at it from a different perspective. So it's like me looking at, like, I'll use Jaden Smith as an example, because he's somebody that's embodied, like, you know, he's a male, but he is not afraid to express himself feminine, you
Right.
know, his feminine energy, you know, wearing dresses and, you know, painting his fingernails and, you know, being a part of the carefree Black boy movement. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, I'm able to express, but I don't think he's gone to the point of like, I'm a woman. It's just like, hey, I'm just, as you just said, I know how to balance out both energies, because
Yeah.
we've been subjected to the patriarchal system, male dominance, to where we've suppressed the feminine for so long. So now it's rearing its head to where now we're seeing the other side of the extreme, being that for centuries it's just been male dominant. So I can look at it from that perspective and say, hey, I don't have no issues with it. You know what I'm saying? I can say, okay, I can accept it because I get it, putting it into that context. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, and even because when you talk about, you know, him wearing nail polish and stuff like that, um, when I worked as a nanny, and I had a 1-year-old, and it was a girl, the parents, they just put her on any clothes. They didn't, you know, pay attention to whether it was an all blue outfit or it was striped in green and all of that stuff or whatever. So when I would take her out and about, the other deal is her ears weren't pierced. So people would mistake her for a boy.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, no, this is a little girl. Oh, I'm so sorry. They would start apologizing. And they were like, well, she has on blue. And it's like, okay, so my favorite color is blue.
Right.
She got to be a boy because she has on blue.
Right.
So, and it just really started, it had me question a lot about just society norms and what people assume is the norm. Because even with toys, um, like I noticed certain people in the family would buy her a purse or a doll and stuff like that. Whereas her behavior prior to the doll was different from when she had that doll.
Mm.
And it made me become aware of how subliminal messages, because she figured, oh, this is a baby. Let me do to this baby what I think they do to me. And so she carrying around like just all of that. And it's like, do we really want to put that on our kids at 1 year old
Right.
or at 5 or whatever? And say it's a little boy and he wants to play dress up. Like, what's wrong with that? He's being creative. Like, or it's like, okay, yeah, you could play dress up, but you need to play dress up with certain costumes.
Mm-hmm.
You can't wear, what is it? Let It Go. What's that movie?
What?
Frozen.
Oh, I hadn't seen that.
Frozen, where it's the princess, the ice princess.
Okay,
And so I
I
remember
know what you're
seeing
talking about.
something. Say that again.
I know what you're talking about. I just haven't seen it.
I remember seeing something on the internet where the little boy wanted to dress up in one of the princess costumes, and people had an issue with the parents letting them do it. And it's like, who are we to tell? I played with my brother's G.I. Joe toys when I was a kid. I played with their what is it, Tonka?
Tonka trunks. The trunks. Tonka trunks. Tonka
all that
trunks.
stuff. All of that stuff. I played, because I was a tomboy. I played with everything. So, but yeah, that's a whole nother subject. We could go on.
Right.
That's fifth dimension. So sixth dimension, which is what I was asked when I originally started talking about this, the idea that I got. He told me to view myself as experiencing the sixth dimension. Sixth dimension is pretty much Christ consciousness. It means mastery. And so it's like you're constantly operating in intuition. It's where thought and matter becomes the same, and you experience miracles. There's oneness. You have control over materials and material things, or the material world. You have a wider imagination and creativity. And that's interesting. I just realized, yeah, I'll talk to you about
reading it
that.
wrong the whole time?
What do you say?
You've been reading it wrong the whole time?
No, I just realized I have something on here twice. It's a duplicate, and I don't understand how I did that, or if, well, it doesn't matter. So a wider imagination and creativity. And there was something else. So that's pretty much what's next, because where we are right now, like because we're between the fourth and fifth dimension, or moving through the fifth dimension, sixth dimension is next, which I think that's what, the next 2 to 5 years possibly. It could take longer, but time for me.
Time moving, boy.
What you say?
The way time moving, so it might be another 6 months.
Look, yeah, well,
as well as technology
what's his
things.
name? Infinite Waters, according to him.
Hello.
According to Ralph Smart, it's going to happen. It could possibly happen, in the next year or two.
Right.
So, yeah.
Breathe in that good ass prana. Shout out to Ralph Smart.
Yeah. Slow motion.
Yeah.
Love that guy. So yeah, that's pretty much the dimensions, and there are other dimensions, but I'm not going to go into all of that today. We'd be here a long time,
Yeah,
and that's not my intent.
You got to pay some bread to get that type of lecture.
Man, look, and they got to pay somebody else. Because I don't care to spend my mental and emotional energy on that right now. I'm trying to master the sixth dimension right here first. Let me deal with that first.
Okay. Well, that was an excellent breakdown of the dimensions. I appreciate you for doing that, giving us a glimpse into not only the history, but also what to look for in these different dimensions, so you can associate yourself and see where you're at. Don't get locked on the third dimension, because you're about to move up. We are accelerating and transforming, so don't get stuck on the third dimension.
Well, and I would even say don't get stuck in any of them, because technically we can go back and forth between any of them, because we're multidimensional beings anyway. The other deal is to remember, because science of mind, I'm not saying deny your experience. I'm not saying that you're not having the experience that that you're having. What I'm saying is your experience doesn't have power over you.
Okay.
Meaning, for example, the example you gave was your job, the
Mm-hmm.
stuff that you're dealing with at work. Okay, yeah, that may be your experience. And at the same time, though, you understand there are multiple realities. You understand that you are seeking, you've set an intention. You're seeking something specific. And so it's like, okay, well, I just need to either look for evidence of this being true and or release any resistance to it coming to me quicker or it coming to me at all.
Right.
Um, versus completely denying, back to the blue pill, red pill, purple pill and stuff, because I know he talked in the video I sent you. He said the purple pill is where you know about the red pill stuff, but you still try to use the blue pill stuff, which the blue pill is the make-believe world.
Okay.
And so, say that again.
I didn't watch it.
Oh, why you didn't tell me you didn't watch it? I wouldn't have brought it up.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just
I thought you
explaining.
saw it.
No, I didn't see it. I didn't get a chance.
Well, you need to see it. It's really good. It's really good. It explains blue pill, red pill as far as the matrix.
Mm-hmm.
And so it says that the red pill is, it's where you see the truth, and that the blue pill is really not the real reality, right?
Gotcha.
The black pill is where you see the red pill, like you know the red pill stuff, but you just frustrated and you stay stuck. That's the black pill. And you just complain and play a victim because it's overwhelming.
Why I gotta be the black pill though?
What?
Why I gotta be the black pill?
Oh yeah, black. There we go.
Why I gotta be the black pill?
Yeah, I don't know who coined it, the black pill, but I'm
triggered. I'm triggered right now. I'm ready to box.
Look, I ain't triggered because I ain't black.
Melanated.
I'm melanated. I'm brown.
Yeah, go listen to episode number 3, where we talked about the word black and what it actually means. The true meaning, the etymology of the word, the origin of the word. Because I cannot get the word down for nothing.
Etymology?
Etymological.
Oh, see, I don't even know if that's a word. Is that a word?
I don't know. It sounds good.
You made that up.
It sounds good, though.
Okay, we'll go with that. But go watch episode, which one? 3? Yeah, go back and watch that.
Words. Curse words. Don't let words curse you.
Right.
But what were you saying?
I'm done.
Okay, cool. So you want to segue into the what is the narrative moving forward? You want to get into that? Segue into that?
So what can we change the narrative to?
Whatever we want it to
change. Exactly. We can make it up. I almost said it again. We can make it up on the spot.
Make that shift up. Shift up.
Exactly.
Put that on a shirt.
What?
Make shift up.
That, you know what? We can't put this out until we need to get that t-shirt done this week. We can't let nobody take our idea. No, I'm just playing.
Let me write that down. Make this, hold on, let me write this down. Hold on 1 second. Make.
Nike came up with that first. It is August 9th, 5:27 p.m. 2020.
Make the shift up.
But yeah, it could be whatever we want it to be. Now, again, there are laws to this universe. And so it has to be in alignment with life, the furthering of life going on and on and on. If it's against more life, greater expression, then yeah, I don't know how that's going to work out for someone.
Can you say that one more time?
I said, I don't know how it will work out. Ultimately, we can make up whatever we want to make up. We can experience whatever we want to experience. The issue is it in alignment with life moving forward? because the way that life works, it calls forth more life. Life has to keep going. So it needs to be in alignment with life continuing. Does that make sense? The continuity of life, continuity.
Continuancy.
I don't, that is.
Hey, it sounds good.
So yeah, all right.
It sounds good.
So look, dyslexia. Look, disclaimer.
I don't claim to be an English professor. I'm from the hip hop culture. We remix, make things up. That's what makes us unique. So
I just make it up just because it's fun.
yeah, I do that too. Seguing and all that too.
Rendezvous.
What I say? I forgot. There's so many things I've said in regard. Oh, UNIQ, BUNIQ.
Oh, unique. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's see. So what do we want to see? Limitless.
Limitless. I changed it. Creating limitlessness.
Okay.
I changed it on my end.
I can't see it. I can't see what you changed.
Because I have my own page where I put all the.
That's clear. Mm-hmm. You got to stop doing that. I'm just gonna say that, and go ahead and say what you need to say.
Creating limitlessness. I added on because I know I gave you the spill off the top of my head on Tuesday. I said continue to build platforms to give access to resources and connected to opportunities. So instead of me saying, oh, we need larger platforms, it's like, okay, let me specify, let me get more specific with it. So it's like, I see platforms like Quali TV, KWELI TV, Quali TV. It's a sister who created this. It's like Netflix, but it has only melanated content, whether it be movies, documentaries, short films, TV shows, that's, centered around the melanated experience and, produced and directed by melanated people. So continuing to create platforms like that, continuing to, and it does not necessarily have to be just melanated people, just like platforms that's, providing information, that's giving us access to information so that we can expand our perceptions, so that we could take on new beliefs, challenge our old beliefs, try to read or attempt to read something new, to challenge yourself so that you could be able to. That helps to build, I guess, the science of being able to put yourself in someone's shoes or seeing something from someone else's perspective. It's like if you're reading other people, listening to other people's content, that helps for you to reprogram your mind to be like, okay, I've heard enough of this to where it's like, I actually understand what they're talking about because they're putting it into perspective and they're breaking it down. Whereas if you just back and forth with somebody arguing, you're not going to hear what they're saying because it's like, okay, this is an opposing view. So immediately you're going to be in the fight mode, fight or flight. You're going to be in fight mode, ready to trigger and you're ready to react. So you don't receive. So continuing to build communities that provide access to resources connected to opportunities for us to, expand and awaken even more.
Okay.
And let me see what else. I'll throw some other things that I added to my notes that's not in what you're seeing.
Well, I'm living my best life. Shout out to Lil Duval.
Shout out, Lil Duval. I'm about to say something. Let me put it in the chat real quick. Hold on. That's going to spark
another. While you do that, I'll just talk about what I have on my notes. So the limitlessness, that's like releasing racism, sexism, ageism, gender, and sexual biases, which again is all in the third dimension. Mm-hmm. Whatever.
We'll say that for another show.
Yeah, we doing that show. That show we doing. We might need to get Lil Duval. Hit me up. We might need to bring you on the show.
Right.
So what you have in your notes?
Oh, embracing instead of resisting. Embracing instead of resisting, that ties into what I just said in regards to receiving other perspectives, opening yourself up to other perspectives. And just for a quick plug, real quick, with the Spaces the Place podcast, which is what I do. I'm the host of the Spaces the Place podcast. The next episode that I'll be doing tonight or tomorrow, star number 6, dealing with Beyonce's Black is King. That is a good example as to us not understanding, like the feedback that I've been seeing, us as a people not understanding African culture, African tradition, African spirituality, to where they see the film Black is King and they like, oh, that's demonic, oh, satanic, oh, she's devil worshiping again, she's on that Illuminati stuff, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, if you haven't studied and you're just looking at it from a Christian frame of mind, then of course you're just going to start just like, oh, yeah, that's demonic, that's demonic. So how you've been programmed is causing you to resist and begin to negatively place, or I'll say you begin to negatively, what's the word I'm looking for, attack. You begin to negatively attack what you're looking at, but you don't know what you're looking at. So it's like, embrace that instead of resisting it, as well as open your mind up to study African spirituality, African tradition, African culture. So it's like, once you do that, you wouldn't even be saying that for the most part. So, so yeah, that's all I have to say in regards to that.
Yeah, I saw a lot of stuff similar where people were talking about, you know, it's the devil and all of that stuff. But yeah, that's why we doing this show, to wake people up.
And to wake ourselves up.
It's only one person in the room. It's only oneself.
Are you saying that we are all one?
Well, of course.
Okay.
That's why when you think of somebody, they may call or text you. Or vice versa. Like you call them, they're like, yo, I was just thinking about you. We're all one.
Telekinesis. Receiving. Picking up on other people's vibrations and thoughts.
Right. One, the key is we're always doing it. The question is, are we acting upon it? Because there are people where it's like, man, I've been thinking about you. I've been meaning to call you, but blah, 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 blah. And they were like, yeah, I was thinking about you. You know, so the key is learning to, when we have that impulse, to go ahead and act on it.
Right.
Because the times when I acted on it, or the other person acted on it, it was exactly what I needed when I needed it, or then it was exactly what they needed when they needed it. Because I've had people call me and say, hey, my spirit just, I was guided to call you and pray. I need to pray with you.
Right.
And I would just start crying, because it was like, how did you even know that I was going through something?
Right.
So, yeah, we're one.
Tap into that energy. Don't be afraid.
It's there. The animals do it. That's why they go to higher ground before.
A natural disaster.
Yep. Right. They paying attention.
Yeah, they senses. So what else you got?
Let's see. So we talked about going beyond limits, unconditional acceptance, embracing diversity, embracing different cultures, and my favorite, financial freedom. Because life is abundant, right? That's the way life is designed. Everything, if you look in nature, is just abundance. Opulence, that's my new word, opulence.
Opulence.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. So let's talk about scripting. Scripting. Scripting is a technique that I use when I want to practice raising my vibration to manifest what I desire. So one of the examples is some years ago, I wanted I wanted a job where I could be authentic, I could get paid well, I had perks that came with my job. And I wanted to be able to be authentic and be myself and feel valued and appreciated. And so what I did was I would write a script. And so when I say script, I write like it's like you're writing a play or a movie. You know how they say, what is it, playwright?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the term, playwright? So you're writing it as if you're writing this script so that you could give it to somebody for them to make a movie out of it, or a book. It could be read like a book, like, you know, you read a children's book to a child. So you write down whatever it is you want to experience, but you put it in present tense. You write it as if it's already done, that is happening. You're having the experience now, and you put in feeling words that help you to feel it vibrationally in your body. And so once you write the script and you make sure it's exactly the way you want to experience it, you read it daily. Because what happens is, as you read it each day, you train your body to feel that vibration, one. Two, you trained your mind to look for evidence or ways for this. What's the next step for me to move in this direction?
Okay.
There was one more thing. You train your vibration. Yeah, I don't know. It went out.
But we got two of the three. We got two of the three.
Well, yeah. So but the point of the scripting is it allows you. Oh, I know what the third thing was. So you see, because you're reading it every day, as you're looking around and paying attention to, you know, evidence of that manifesting, you see different aspects of what you've intended. If you forgot to add something in there, or if you need to change something, like you could tweak it.
Okay.
For example, I remember writing down something one time, and I hadn't considered, what was it about? I think it was about my business, working my business. And one of the things that I hadn't considered putting in writing was self-care. That is a non-negotiable need and value, or core value, that I wanted to make sure was a part of whatever I did business-wise, that self-care was a part of it. And so in me listening to other people talk about theirs and me sharing mine, I was like, oh snap, I've got to go back and add self-care in there. So that's the point of reading it daily, because it helps you to tweak it, to fine tune it to what exactly you want to experience. The other deal is you raise your vibration to match that which of that experience, because what I'm vibrating at right now may not be the vibration that it's not the vibration of what I want, because if it was, I'd be living it. Does that make sense? Okay. So yeah. And then what was the third thing?
You talking about in regards to scripting?
Yes.
Oh, seeing it. Well, you talking about in regards to what you're
Oh,
bringing?
looking for evidence, right. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yes, seeing it. Looking for the evidence. And taking action, taking the steps.
Gotcha.
That's a part of it. Looking for evidence, because it's like, oh, again, because you're priming your mental equivalent as you read it each day. It's like, oh, this actually is possible for me to have this. Oh, you know what? I might be able to have this in 6 months instead of a year. And if I do, X, Y, Z, if I go over here and, do these steps or whatever. So, but yeah, that's scripting.
Immersing yourself in it, that definitely helps to speed up the process in regards to manifesting what it is that you want. Because I know, like, with the School of Metaphysics and them saying, hey, do your exercises every day, do this every day, it's like you have to make strides each day towards what it is that you're wanting. And if you're immersed in it, meaning like, I don't want to say it consumes you to where you're not doing anything else, but if you're focused on that daily, then yes, it does help to attract different things that help to build that. And if you pay attention, then it's like, okay, this person walked in, they mentioned this. If you ain't paying attention, then this person could have had the answer to get you to the next step.
Right.
But being that we so distracted and scattered, we probably be like, I ain't got time to talk to you. Get out of here.
Right.
I got to work. But you trying to quit your job.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point, because again, like, people underestimate, what is it, serendipity?
Mm-hmm.
The aligning of everything happening. Like, the universe is able to do what it's able to do in a shorter time span if we're paying attention, like you said, if we're tapped in, tuned in, turned on.
Right. Okay. So anything else you want to add?
The last thing I'm going to add is just this quote from Ernest Holmes, which says, nature will not let us stay in any one place too long. She will let us stay just long enough to gather the experience necessary to the unfolding and advancing of the soul. This is a wise provision, for should we stay here too long, we would become too set, too rigid, too inflexible. Nature demands the change in order that we should advance. When the change comes, we should welcome it with a smile on the lips and a song in the heart. Again, that is Ernest Holmes, the writer of the Science of Mind textbook. And so my question is, what are you welcoming? What are you willing to change? What are you allowing to shift and change within your life, in your experience, for life to continue? Because again, life is happening in us, through us, as us, around us. Thank you. Yes. So how are you contributing? What are you welcoming? That's my question.
To the audience?
Yes.
Okay.
Whoever's watching, yes.
Okay, all right. Well,
I already asked you.
Well, what I see is that Ernest is telling me I need to go ahead and quit this job. Shout out to Ernest.
See, all right. All right.
Yes, he said it. He's like, hey, it's time. He pretty much spelled it out.
You've been saying it's time. You've been saying it's time. And I'm probably the reason you still there.
Why don't you stay? What do you need to learn?
Well, for me, it was the energy, because it was, you was ready to fight versus I'm complete. That fighting is different from I'm complete with this experience. Does that make sense? Now you're at I'm complete.
Now, look at me. Listen to what I'm saying now, though.
Opposed to now you seem complete. But before, you was just mad, and it was like, y'all ain't gonna put this on me. This ain't me. All right?
Right.
So
okay.
It's all good. It's all good.
As always. So we'll conclude on that note. So this is season 1, episode 4, part 3 entitled Changing the Narrative of Mystery, hashtag my story, hashtag our story, hashtag Corona Rising, hashtag Kanye 2020, where we discussed with affairs with Side Spirit, reframing and reclaiming your time, Lahoma and the higher dimensions, and what will be the new narrative. So join us next week for episode number 5, part 1, entitled Think and Grow Rich, a Black Choice, hashtag Melanated Money. So where we'll discuss the book written not by Napoleon, not by Napoleon Hill, twist of the
But
tongue.
Napoleon Hill did write Think and Grow Rich.
Well, he didn't write the Black Choice. It's remixed, but remixed.
I was going to say, I think they have both names on that one. No?
Oh, okay.
You don't have, I thought he had both names.
Oh, I didn't see it. I'll look thoroughly and see if Napoleon's on there. But
Dennis
it is
Kimbrough.
remixed by the melanated brother named Dennis Kimbrough. So also check out Space is the Place podcast, the only podcast to raise your vibration through alien art, spiritual slang, and electric ego so that it becomes the new norm so that we can move strong. Also, where you can find us, as we said, celebrate one more time. A New Day with a New Bay podcast now has its own social media platform. We're still with, Space is the Place, always support, but you can go to Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube and type in A New Day, A New Bay. That's ANEWDAY, ANUBEY, and we'll pop up. Or you can just go to our link tree, linktr.ee/A New Day, A New Bay, ANEWDAY, ANUBEY. All right. So also you can go to our Patreon page, to go support, as AA Rashid says, sock it to our pockets. You know what I'm saying? Go to our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/A New Day, A New Bay.
And make sure you like the videos, please. Like the videos.
Yes, and we still have the goal of wanting to surpass 1,000 followers and subscribers.
We have 1,000.
We already have it.
We're going to speak that. We have 1,000.
That are truly supportive for our cause. All right?
So thank you, 1,000 supporters.
Yes. So in closing,
always create a new day with a new bay.
Touche, and never lose faith, because what you say matters. I am Khem Anunnaki.
I am Lahoma Jaffe.
And we are A New Bay. Peace.
Holla.